Hello and welcome along to the 10th edition of our end of season review with Dorking Wanderers. We're reviewing our first season at Championship level in the second tier of English football, and those of you that have been with me along the way will know it has been a remarkable one. We've finished in 12th place. We've not looked at threat of relegation at all this season, probably by the first 4 games where we didn't get a win, but other than that we've looked brilliant. We were in the playoff hunt until about February. We sold big players, big money, which is probably the reason we fell away a little bit. If we go to our transfer history, just for those of you that can see, we sold the likes of our first choice keeper, our first choice left winger, and bought in another 2.5 million. So that will link to something we're going to mention later on. But it has been a special season for us. So we're going to do our usual. We're going to review all of the key news and end of season awards. We'll have our player of the year vote and announce the winner from last season. So get in the eye above to have your say in that one as well. I'll give you the reasons for the players I've picked. And then of course you can vote for someone else if you want to as well. And then finally we'll have a look at the footballing world. It's the end of the 10th season, so we'll look at all the competitions again. See what the English pyramid's looking like. Any big special moves that we didn't expect. But it's going to be a big one, and we're going to focus on Dorking. All of the players we expect to go in and out this summer. And let's see if any big offers will change our mind when we're back for the transfer special on Friday. That's going to be a massive episode, and I really hope you'll join me. We had a very busy deadline day and a reunion with our old club in the head coach yesterday. So if you haven't seen that one yet, please do click in the eye above to catch up. We were going back to the club we left to join our new team, Burnley. We also had transfer deadline day, our first with our new director of football. It was a magical episode. There was so much action. There was loads going on and on off the pitch. So please do go and check it out if you can. A massive thank you for your continued support with this one and that series for another season. It's so appreciated. The upturn on the channel has been incredible. And there's also the 2 new series continuing on Sunday. We've got our FM20 network career. That's 2 episodes in. And we've also got our stadium review series, which is 3 episodes in. And again, the playlist to both of those are in the eye above. I'm really enjoying making new content and different sort of content on the channel at the moment, so please do give me a feedback. Let me know what you think of it, because I'd love to do some more different things going forward, both with FM and outside of it in terms of real football. Hopefully you can see that my passion, even in lower leagues, I've heard of loads of the players. I'm following Luton Town around the country from National League to the Championship now, and probably the other way in the 2000s as well. So I do love football, I do love Football Manager, and I want to give you plenty of content from both. So do have your say, let me know what you think of them. Please do get involved if you've got the chance, and hopefully we can make stuff that you really enjoy, particularly during this difficult time. If you're looking forward to this one and another end of season review, please do put a thumbs up on the video. We will touch again on the youth mentoring groups, which we talked about another couple of episodes ago. Just because we're doing something very different to earlier in the save, and I almost like to give a little bit of guide and advice on these sort of episodes, because they are the bits behind the scenes that lots of us don't really focus on or look at, and they can make such a big difference when you're managing a smaller club. You've already seen I manage realistically. If we get a big offer for a player, I'm not just going to keep him because you can on FM, I'm going to sell him because it's the right thing for the club. And that means this summer we're going to be able to make some big investments, and hopefully our board will be on board with those decisions. But let's go back to the inbox first, get through all of this news. We've got players that have been inducted into the overall 11, and it's the 2 left wingers actually. Everett has gone, but he has already made it in there, and Luke Thomas has as well. He is likely to be going this summer. We'll wait and see on that one. We've still got some of the old boys on the bench. Tom Whelan, Fergal, Hale-Brown, Sherin, Lopez, Archer, Vaughan and Pryor, all from the first few years. I mean, even in the team, we've got Whittaker and Presley up top. Moles and Smith are ever presence in the middle. But defensively, some of those stars are making it in now. Jonathan Mitchell still here as our 3rd choice keeper. Jack Walker, Luke Thomas as we've seen. There's a few players from this modern era too. So if some of the ones that are here now, the likes of Tordoff, can stay along for a couple of years, they could become superstars. But that's a really good sign to see new players making it in. The end of season awards, that's all important. So Tordoff is the player of the year according to the fans, followed by Thomas and Lindsey. And you'll get your chance to see if you compare with the fans and think exactly the same. So let me know later on. There's a vote in the eye above. You can get involved in that one. Do you think the fans are right, or do you think it should be someone else? I'm not going to reveal mine just yet, but I will tell you later on what I think. In terms of the season review, it was incredible. We got to our first FA Cup quarter-final, narrowly lost out to Liverpool with 10 men. You can see how few players we've used as well. Despite being held back by the stadium, we've still managed something special. And we've only used 24 players. A brilliant season. We had a good solid campaign along the way. We were up there for so long, and in the end we just dropped down to 12th place. So it's unfortunate, but we've made it to the top half, and we would have taken this without a shadow of a doubt at the start of the season. We're also going to look at our club vision and our expectations for next season. The board no longer want us to fight against relegation. Next year they expect us to stay up. After that, they expect us to be an established championship team, and hopefully we can stay around this sort of position for the next 2 or 3 years until the major milestones come that will let us be a Premier League side. We've still got to make the most of set pieces, but that's not quite as strong now. They want us to play high tempo pressing football. That's what we're doing anyway, so it's good they're adapting. Play possession football. We've been doing that a bit as well. Play attacking football. We've been trying to be positive. And don't sign players over 30. Bar the odd one like Lovelace last summer, which to be honest didn't really work out. We've not been doing that too often. So I'd imagine we're not going to have many over 30s coming in, and we'll continue our policy of getting youngsters in and selling them on. The squad dynamics look good. We're going to tell the lads we want to stay up next season. The injury report, a little bit of bad luck along the way. We probably had more injuries than normal, but no real major ones. So you can see all of them are that sort of annoying 3 to 5 weeks. Council 3 weeks, Webb 5 weeks, Tordoff 3, Cotter 3, Liam Morgan 3, Moles 3, Parsons 3, Mitchell 4, McLaughlin 4, Maguire 3, Smith 3. All of them out for 3 weeks at a time. Burns 3 weeks, Thompson 2 weeks, Lindsey 2 weeks. No massive injuries, but lots of little ones. Despite that, our squad has held strong. The end of season break starts and they're not back for 6 weeks, and we'll choose the cheapest training destination possible. We'll go off to the southeast of England. Hopefully that won't cost us too much. So we've looked at the end of season news. Those of you that have been here before for the end of year reviews will know exactly what comes next. We go to our squad and I've got my pre-prepared list. The players that I expect to lose this summer, the players that I'm going to lose, and the players that I think I may lose, just so we can start to plan what next season might look like. So in terms of news, Joe Wilson will come back from his loan, as will Tommy Parks. They'll be involved in the first team squad. Aaron White I've not listed because I think we're going to probably extend his loan. John Webb, as much as I may well keep him, I'm not going to rule it out yet. It's keeping a player on loan, our 5th loan spot of the squad, for someone who's not going to be starting. And to be honest, I don't know that we can do that. He's not electric quick, which did find him out a little bit in the Championship. I say as he scored in nearly every game he started. But to be honest, Lindsey is the number 1 choice. John Webb struggled with injuries a bit this year. He's not been at his best form. And to be honest, I think it might be the end of the road for him. But I've also listed Thomas Lovelace. He's going to go out on loan next season. The reason for that, he's finished the season with a professional personality. He's improved incredibly in training. He's really benefited from the new mentoring group system, and he's now no longer needing to be in one. So a brilliant trainer. He'll improve with football somewhere now. So he's played 2 games for Cardiff, 1 game for us. He just needs to get a season under his belt. So we're going to loan him out next season, and hopefully he'll come back a good player. We've then got to say goodbye to a couple of players that saved the day. The first of them's Barry Cotter. Another 18-month spell here after joining to replace Mason Saxon in League One. The promotion season where we lost our star right back for £4 million. Barry Cotter came and saved the day. Last season he actually played 6 starts because of injuries at right back, and he did a decent job. I mean, 6.75 is not bad at this level. A combined 81 league appearances for us over 2 spells in League One and the Championship. And he's been a really solid pro. I mean, he's not good enough for the Championship. He will be on his way. But thank you again, Barry Cotter. At 30 years of age, you have been an absolute superstar twice. Liam Morgan came in just as a backup centre-half this season. It was an emergency for the end of the year. Didn't play a game in any competition in the end, and he hasn't improved in training either. So he'll be off in the summer, providing we can get an offer for him. And then the last one is an interesting one. It's Craig Maguire. He's a player that we got in for $34,000 from Aberdeen just a couple of years ago. And there is a lot of interest around him. He's worth nearly £3 million and there are Premier League sides chasing him. He's not improving quite as quickly as I'd like, and he's got a minimum fee release clause of £12 million. So I'm going to try and get an offer just below that, and then maybe bolt on a 50% sell-on clause as well, because that will allow us to make money. So those are the sort of things I'm really excited about. I think we could sell him for big money, and that means we could then reject the offers for Tordoff. Tordoff is a player who is going to be wanted. He's worth £4 million. We've managed to get him down to a 2-year deal. I don't want him to go anywhere. So if we can get big money for Maguire, Tordoff will be able to stay. That's the fingers crossed we're hoping for. Other players that aren't on the list I might be prepared to sell. Luke Thomas, because we've got another left back coming in as well potentially. We've also got the likes of Peter McLaughlin, still unhappy, won't sign a new deal. What if we get a big offer for him? We have got to think about these things as we go along. But otherwise, in terms of the players out, those four I'm certain on. John Webb will be going as well, providing we can get another striker of some description. We've got 4 players coming back from loan. All of them will leave. They're all out of contract. Harvey Rowe and Connor Jackson, who have been backups here in the past. Jackson deserves a mention because of that first half of the season in League One. Did help us in our promotion season. He deserves a bit of credit, but he'll be on his way, as will Harvey Rowe and the 2 Scottish youngsters that didn't work out, Brad Alexander and David Aitchison. And then surprisingly this year, I've actually got 3 maybes, and they're sort of dependent on what happens in this window. So Carroll is the left winger. He's the backup at the moment. A bit like Barry Cotter, he's not good enough. He's still got a little bit of improvement room, so I'm not as against him staying. But the problem is, we need to get a better sub-left midfielder. We need to keep Aaron White firstly, and then if we can do that and get a better youngster in than Carroll, Carroll will then be on his way. Matthew Smith, I'd like to keep as a 4th choice. I just need him to sign a new deal. So we'll wait and see what happens over the next 6 weeks. And Manny Cook, the reason I've kept him here, he's 2.5 star, he's very average, probably a League One standard player. I sort of see him like the United team of the 2000s with a John O'Shea, maybe someone like that, who's sort of mid-table Premier League level, but a really solid, consistent player who could play in 5 or 6 positions. Manny Cook can play centre midfield in either role. He can play up front, he can play on the right wing, he can at a push play number 10 and at a push play on the left wing. He's not great in those last 2 positions, but that's 4 he can play very comfortably and 2 more as a utility if we need them. So to not have someone like that in the squad with injury crises and things that can come up, that just seems a bit silly. He's still got a little bit more potential and he's still trained well all season. But of course he's only made 1 sub appearance and he's not going to improve that way. So we do have to think about his well-being, but it may be that we keep him here for just 1 more year. The only other one that's really close is Jonathan Mitchell, but we're trying to negotiate now to keep him for another year. He's happy to be a real emergency backup, so a 3rd choice keeper, and he's going to take a wage cut as well. So at 34, we'll happily keep him here for another year for that. And fingers crossed he'll stay with us, so that's looking pretty good. Let me know what you think of that list, anything you disagree with. Surely we have to sell Maguire if we get a big offer. If it means we can keep Tordoff, if it means we can keep Thompson, McLaughlin, those sorts, we have to do it, don't we? Maguire, he's not going to play next year because Zach Council's here. Tordoff's going to be his 1st choice backup. So he might have been the sub on the left-hand side to Aaron White, but that's not his natural position. So I think he's the one we have to sacrifice here. And if we can get a record sale for him, for me, that's an absolutely blinding deal. So let's wait and see what we get with him. But fingers crossed he'll be the one. But with all of that done, let's go and round off the season. We'll do our Player of the Year vote as well. So we had a few players that were stars this season. Alan Tordoff, top of the pile again for rating. 7.28. Switched positions, of course, from right wing as an inside forward to the deep line playmaker role to replace Matthew Smith. And it's like he just played exactly the same. He was sensational. So Alan Tordoff's the main man. I'm sure he will win Player of the Season. Please do get in the eye above. Have your say and vote. Let me know if you agree. Second on the pile has to be Brendan Lindsey. 20 goals. He was our backup striker last year. He's come in. He scored nearly 1 in 2. In a league, he got 18 goals. And the only moment he really let us down was that FA Cup quarter-final. What on earth was he thinking when he made that challenge? He's still going to be banned for the first 2 next year. But aside from that, he has been brilliant for us and deserves all the credit in the world. Otherwise, Luke Thomas at left back. What a season he's had. 4 goals and 8 assists. He's been overlapping for fun. Shane Thompson's got a lot to live up to. We've got another signing coming as well, so he may well leave the club. But he has had a remarkable season too. And then finally, we've got a centre-half that's rated above a 7. I feel like he has to go in just for that. Grant Parsons is my 4th choice. He is the one who's going on my Player of the Season vote. And do you know what? For me, he's actually going to be, surprisingly, my Player of the Season. To have a centre-half that solid, he's solved so many of the problems in the 2 years he's been here. We were an average League One side that shipped goals. He's come in, we won League One, and we've now gone and kept up in the Championship pretty well. And Grant Parsons has been a key to that. Don't forget, Sam Lavelle came in to replace him, and he's still made it as 1st choice. He's now signed a big new deal, and Grant Parsons is becoming one of my stars here. Honourable mentions to Zach Council, who really developed well this year. George Burns, the backup number 10, did a really good job. And Matthew Smith still played well this year when he did get his chances. Adrian Bentley looks a good youngster. I mean, there's so many positives. There are so many positives in this Dorking side. And we've just got to hope they can perform well next year too and keep improving off the pitch. The likes of Lovelace, the likes of Bentley, they have continued to do so. And they are going to continue to benefit as we use these mentoring groups, which we'll talk about, of course, a bit more in a moment. So they're your choices for Player of the Season. Tordoff, Thomas, Lindsey and Parsons. There is another box. If you want to vote for someone else, let me know in the comments why you've picked someone different. Who is it and why? But otherwise, please do have your say and we'll announce the winner next season. And just as we say that, I'll announce last year's winner. And he's still at the club, but he's not getting a mention this year. And that's because he might be leaving us. It's John Webb. He won convincingly last year and there's absolutely no surprise by that. He scored 30 goals in our League One promotion campaign. And this season he started with injuries, he had a couple of little knocks and Brendan Lindsey just took advantage and became a star. Moving up to the Championship and the higher level, his lack of pace and composure has hindered him slightly. Still off the bench, he's been a really key player, but look at that progress bar down here. The training bar, he's just crept down and down and down and down. He's actually getting worse and he's only just starting to recover now. So I don't know that we can extend his loan because he's going to be a backup player. But either way, John Webb won the 27-28 Player of the Season with you guys. And it was deservedly so. He'll always be remembered in our history because he got us up from League One and he contributed some vital goals in this Championship season too. So thank you for your service, John Webb. But this season is probably going to be your last at the club. Of course, we could send him back to Leeds and they might transfer list him. That's the thing we have to cross our fingers for. But the last part of this review, before we go and look at all the competitions, is of course the youth mentoring groups. So we took a little look at them a couple of episodes back. I think it was the Liverpool FA Cup tie. Apologies as my chair's squeaking all over the place. It's getting a bit old now. But we've made a big change in mentoring groups this year, and it's because we've been able to get some bigger personalities in. So Tordoff, a big resolute 24-year-old with personality, the same for Moles at 30, and then a fairly professional Luke Thomas at 27. In fact, 3 of the star performers over the last few years. They've all got significant or average influence, and that means we can now have smaller mentoring groups. What it basically means is specialised 1-on-2 tutoring, or 1-on-3 tutoring as it is in the other 2 groups. One teacher, I mean, look at it like a classroom. It's that simple to work out. If you've got a class of 30 people, the teacher can still teach. You'll still learn the basics, but they're not able to give you that personal development. They're not able to give personal touches relating to your educational needs. If you've got one player and they're tutoring 2 or 3 people at a time, you can go round them. You can do a general session and you can work round on individual aspects. So that's what we're trying to work on. We've got Tordoff in a group with 3. Craig Maguire's learnt really well. Carroll and McLaughlin, all balanced personalities, but just starting to creep up. The same for Moles with Council the Wonder Kid, Bentley and Burns, just trying to creep them up. And Luke Thomas with Lewis James and Morgan. So Lewis James, his personality's improved. He's now got a bit of influence on the group as well. So it seems like they're bringing the social groups together, and that's something we like as well. So I'm really impressed with that. And it can work the other way as well. The leaders are a slightly different personality. They've been here a bit longer. They've all got to know each other. So you can see the 3 leaders of the groups are actually in the secondary social group. So it can work the other way in that sense as well. So the 3 young players in mentoring group 4 and 3, if Stefan Moles and Tordoff get to know them and like them, and they all become similar personalities, suddenly they'll all mould into one core social group. And that means that you've got all of your players hanging out together. You saw that famous clip when Leicester won the Premier League a few years back and all of the players were in one of their kitchens. There was 15, 20 members of the squad all hanging out together. And that's what we're trying to get to here. So the mentoring groups work brilliantly in terms of getting a strong personality into the younger players, but it can also bring those experienced players into the core social group, which is absolutely fantastic. They're normally leaders and different personalities, so of course they're going to be in a different social group. But if you can get them all closer together, then suddenly they all go into one group. So it's really important to think about, and smaller groups enable you to achieve that. So I'm really pleased that now we've got some really strong players at the club, we're able to use those characters positively. So in 1 season's time, I'm thinking this is going to look very different, and we will revisit it just to check up. But that's the end of the Dorking part of this review. We're of course going to go and move on and look at the end of season in the English Pyramid, who's won all the big trophies and who's been going up and down in all the leagues. So we'll go and get to that in a moment. But if you have enjoyed this part of the review, please do put a thumbs up on the video. It does make such a difference. The end of season reviews always seem to go down well. And as I've said before, if there's any areas of the club you'd like me to review in future, just let me know. Is there anything you're struggling with that you'd like to see? I can't really advise you for your sake, but I can show you the way I do it. And if that helps a little bit, then great. And of course, I have to get one shameless plug in. Please do subscribe and turn the notification bell on. You'll get alerts for all the new episodes, especially on Friday when we've got our transfer special from this one. We've got a big end to the season coming with Burnley this week and another live stream coming next week as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that one too. And if you can join me, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you for your continued support. Let's go and look and see who's been winning the English football leagues. Right then, we're back mid-June. I'm going to try very carefully not to give any spoilers of what's going on at Dorking. So I do apologise if you get any, but I'm trying my best to stop it. City finishing down in 6th place in the Premier League, which Chelsea managed to win this season. And notably as well, City have got 13 injuries. Where on earth has that come from? Is it all first teamers as well? Let's go and have a look. Oh my words. They've done well to finish 6th looking at that. That's incredible. I mean, I'm doing a network save over with our podcast boys on the Honest Football podcast, and I've been Tranmere Rovers, and I've had something pretty close to this, and I've been complaining my guts off. So I'm glad to see that it's not just me. In the 2 long-term series, I've not really been hugely affected, but that is remarkable, and it's very similar to what I've had at Tranmere. Going down from the Premier League, Huddersfield and Brentford, West Ham dropping out as well. Big news there, West Ham down to the Championship. Let's go and have a look at that second tier where we're obviously going to be next year. West Ham's going to be a tough tie. Norwich up in the playoffs alongside Burnley and Brighton. Burnley, of course, the side ratting their head coach. We'd love to finish there at the end of the season. It's going to be tough from where we started. Dorking finishing 12th comfortably. Barnsley, Preston and Ipswich on their way down. Ipswich actually did get a few late points, but it wasn't enough. They were down well before we got to the end of the season. On to League One. Let's see who's going up there. Luton have won the title, so I will get my reunion with my beloved Luton Town. Sunderland up in 2nd after a long old wait in this series. Doncaster in 3rd via the playoffs. Good to see that the side in 3rd have come up in the playoffs in both leagues. It is often unfair that they finish 3rd and don't manage to make it, so it's good to see that they've done it this time. Going down, we've got Carlisle, Wimbledon and Crawley, and Bolton Wanderers back down to League 2. There seems to be a bit of a yo-yo club at that level at the moment. They've also had the top goal scorer in the league. That's a really bizarre combination. Relegated and the top scorer. But either way, on to League 2. Exeter up via the playoffs against Plymouth as well. I can't imagine Wembley was too full for that one. Crewe, Mansfield and Port Vale, they all get promoted automatically. Forest Green and Fleetwood dropping out the Football League. 2 of the traditional smaller clubs that have had lots of investment over the years in real life. Has that investment maybe gone now in game? That could perhaps be the reason for that. Boston United, AFC Telford, surviving at this level, Woking as well up in the playoffs, all keeping their own in the Football League. But let's move on to the National League. Burton Albion are back in the Football League. They won the National League by 5 points. Yeovil up with them in the playoffs. They finished in 3rd. Sutton and Dover, a former club from FM18, all the way back in our first series on the channel. They've gone down with Chorley and Nuneaton to the regional leagues. Grimsby not far off there as well, actually. Let's go down to the north. Harrogate have won that. Warrington won the playoffs. Worcester, St Ives, Stalybridge and Stratford going down. None of them in the leagues at the start of the series, so no massive surprises there. And then into the south, St Albans have won the playoffs. A local side for me. That's good to see. Maidenhead won the league. Hemel Hempstead down. Well, well, well. Those of you who were following me all the way back at the start of FM19, the head coach will remember the fun I had there. So, as much as they're a local club and I would like to see them doing well in real life, in this save, I'm not going to be too disappointed. Chelmsford, Kingstonian and Taunton join them. But there's some big sides stuck down in the regional league still. Will Macclesfield return? That's the one we've got to look out for next season. So remind me to check that in the season 11 review. But for now, probably not as many shocks this season. But we've got some tough games coming up in the Championship next year. West Ham coming down, Luton and Sunderland coming up. This task isn't getting any easier. Let's have a quick look at the domestic cups. Liverpool beat United to win the FA Cup, the first time in 6 years for them. In the Carabao Cup, Arsenal beat United, another final defeat for the Manchester club. Arsenal second win in 3 years for them. The Community Shield, Arsenal beat Chelsea, who had won it 3 years in a row before that. The Leasing.com trophy, an under-23 side. Boo, I always get annoyed when I see that. Wrexham losing out in the final. The FA Trophy, Burton Albion won a double for them with the National League title. They're beating Newport, another former league side. And that just leaves us with the European Trophy. So let's go and have a look at the Champions League. Liverpool winning that one as well. Back-to-back European Champions Leagues for Liverpool. Let's just go and have a quick look at who won the final. They beat Manchester United on penalties. So United have lost the Champions League final, the FA Cup final and the Carabao Cup final. And they finished 4th in the Premier League. I mean, that's got to be so frustrating. Liverpool winning that one on penalties. All English final again, no dominance continuing there. The Europa League, Leicester got to the final, losing out to Milan in extra time. Again, an English side in the final there, but a European team winning it. On to the Europa League 2. Let's see who won that one. Besiktas beat CSKA Moscow. So two nations that I don't think have featured much in the finals before. It's been Scottish sides mainly, ironically, in this one. So it's good to see two different nations there, and Besiktas coming out on top in the end. Perhaps not as many shocks across the board in the pyramid as we've had in previous years, but let me know in the comments if I've missed anything major. More importantly though, what do you think of our summer plans for Dorking Wanderers? I've got to stay on this screen so I don't spoil anything, but let me know what you think of the players that I've set to possibly leave the club. Are there any that I should be fighting tooth and nail to keep, or do you kind of agree with what I've got planned? Do you think we're at risk of suffering from second season syndrome here? I don't think we'll finish 12th, but I'd like to stay up pretty comfortably again next season, and we'll probably just need 4 or 5 decent additions to do that. I've got a big season planned and I hope it's going to go well, and I hope you'll join me on Friday for the transfer special. We'll have some news off the pitch in that one as well. We're trying to work to get a stadium, to get a new youth facilities, and to get some improvements off the pitch. But of course, those things we've got to wait until it ticks over to a year, and that's about 2 or 3 days away from here. So no news on that just yet. The youth facility's the only one agreed by the board, and hopefully at the start of next season we'll have a lot on that front, and we can continue to improve Dorking off the pitch. We've got to sell someone to make that happen, so the likes of Maguire could be key, and we'll wait and see if that happens over this summer. But again, please do put a thumbs up on the video if you've enjoyed it. I really do appreciate your support as always. Let me know anything you'd like to see in future end of season reviews, any aspect of off the pitch at the club you'd like to know about, and I'm happy to show you them where possible. Let me know what you think's going to happen with Dorking. Please do join me for that transfer special on Friday. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn that notification bell on below to get regular updates when episodes release. We've got our other long-term story back tomorrow, the head coach. Yesterday was a crazy episode with a reunion, going back to the club we left to join Burnley and having transfer deadline day with our new club. It was a special episode and there was plenty of action, so please do catch up with it if you can. And then we've also got our 2 new Sunday series continuing, our Stadium Review series, which is 3 episodes in, and our FM20 Network career, which is 2 episodes in. Both of those featuring co-hosts, and the playlists are in the eye above, so please do give it a try if you can, and let me know what you think of the new content on the channel. But thanks again for watching and your continued support. I really do appreciate it greatly. And hopefully I'll see you on Friday for a big transfer special as we prepare for our second season in the Championship.